of the Richmond Heights Local School District, home of the Division IV back-to-back state champion boys basketball team with a 49-0 record. And our superintendent is Dr. Renee Willis. What'd she do? Where'd she go? And we have our assistant superintendent over here, Marnisha Brown, and our director of educational services, Kelly Askew. So we are represented in the House. I'd like to thank you for coming to the screening of Let the Little Light Shine. Particular thanks to President Maceo for allowing this to occur. We know that there was a very heavy schedule for this conference, which is going to be very successful. And so he allowed us to convene on tonight because Friday and Saturday is just jam-packed. So thank you, President Maceo. Each of you should have received a flyer. The film star is here. She's going to join us a little later. Are there any members of the Parent Commission in the room yet? Nobody? Okay, so these are all the patio people, right? Okay. All right, so each of you should have received a note card with questions. And so we're going to go ahead and start the screening. It is 1 hour and 25 minutes. Dr. Greer will come in probably about 8 o'clock or so, and then we're going to give 30 minutes for questions, but I think you're really going to be in for a treat. Again, the focus is on advocacy. And when we think about advocacy, I mentioned earlier on the patio, it's important that we, at the local level, advocate, but things are happening now at the state level that we certainly need to advocate for. I don't know how many of you watched the NAACP Image Awards where Ben Crump received his award. If you remember what he said, we will not let our elected officials exterminate our history, our literature, or our culture. There's a lot going on in the legislature, and so we want to make sure we advocate and become voices for children, particularly of African descent. So we're going to go ahead and start the film. Sit back and relax. You can get some popcorn, pop. No, you should have gotten that on the patio.
When I started doing community organizing, at first I didn't feel comfortable with that because I'm just like, I'm just a parent, right, who's angry about something. But then I realized, well, really that's what a community organizer is. This is a person who's angry about something and who wants to stand up and say something about it.
What do we want? Public schools. When do we want them? Now.
But this was the moment for everyone individually that said, this is the moment for me that I have to stand up and do what's right.
If we don't get it, shut it down.
I was surprised to find out about myself that I'm okay with people seeing me as an angry Black woman. Like, it's okay if you hate me. Can you get it? Okay. Why don't you go to the bathroom and I'll pull out your clothes, okay?
What is next to Pennsylvania and what comes?
Just south of Pennsylvania and Ohio is.
No, Maryland and West Virginia.
Okay, go get Maryland and West Virginia. We don't want to leave them out.
My husband and I got married in 2004, and we really fell in love with the school, which was
National Teachers Academy.
a couple months ago. It came out that we are level 1+ school, the highest score that CPS has to offer, and it is based primarily on the quality of the teaching at NTA across all levels for all the kids.
Yum, 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 yum. Delicious.
All right,
You guys ready to go?
ready? But go ahead and put your shoes on. I sprayed them. Let me see. All right.
Where's my NTA button?
I have to get another one. Do you want a Black Students Matter button?
Yeah.
I felt the energy in the school, the way that the teachers interacted with the students, the way that they interacted with each other.
Good morning. Good morning. Where you going, MJ? Hey, Victor. We hold your hand? Come on, let's go, let's go. Come here, TT will take you in. Come on. Let's go, let's go.
Mommy?
Yes.
Can I go to Harmony School too? Mommy,
Yes, yes.
I want to go.
Okay, it'll be Noah's turn soon.
It's just me, everybody. It's just me. It's just me. Hey, Malay, I'll take some high fives. Here they come, the NTA Congress. So today, it gives me great honor to share with you that this is our first major step in incorporating student voice, student ideas, and student leadership into everything that we do here at NTA. And so I'm just so excited about this day for that reason.
Because he got it.
Where they at? I don't want you guys to feel embarrassed or bad at all. You guys did a fantastic job, and I'm proud of you, all right? And we all are. I know that our boys aren't completely satisfied with the way that they perform right now. But I have to tell you, if anybody's fault, it's my fault, because I asked the boys to perform and rehearse this song on very short notice with only a few weeks. So I think given the amount of practice that my boys had, I think they did a fantastic job. Don't you agree? It took a great amount of courage for them to try and try again and persist. And I know that they will continue to plan and persist, and sometime soon they will perform again and we will see them prevail even more than we did just now. Don't you think so?
Meantime, tonight, a proposal to convert an elementary school into a new high school is pitting parents against parents and parents against Chicago Public Schools. The school in question, the National Teachers Academy in the South Loop.
And Rob, tonight's meeting is a hot topic, converting this top-performing grade school into a high school. CPS officials say it'll be a gradual transition that will accommodate current students, but future families will have to look for other options.
It's just a low-down thing for us because we made the school a part of our community.
So the proposal is this: convert the building that you're currently sitting in, National Teachers Academy, into a high school, and converting the building ultimately from 840 elementary school students to about 1,000 students in a high school. So what happens in that process is that the elementary school shuts down, but there is a larger elementary school at South Loop Elementary that would be constructed in order to accommodate more students. So the intentions of the proposal, as laid out by CPS, are that merging two school communities will create a stronger academic option for all students.
Ms. Sayers told me that you have earned a lunch with me today, and I'm glad to be spending some time with you, my friend.
And I got you a fruit.
You did?
For my favorite best friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Zarel. Now where'd you get this from? Did they know that you were taking this? They did? Okay.
And I have another one.
You have another one?
Surprise.
Oh, look at this guy. Oh, man, this is
Superman.
Superman, and who's the other character there?
He's Superman in the future.
In the future? Like a robot?
Mm-hmm. Half robot, half man.
Got it. Next week is the last week of the quarter, my friend. Grades are going in on Friday. Yeah. So I want to see some top-notch grades.
I'm frozen in fear.
Oh no! Wow, what do you think your report card's gonna look like?
C, B, and A.
Okay. Well, how about this? On Monday, we'll look at your grades together so that on Monday, you have a set plan on what to do through the week. Oh, hello, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Come on in, y'all.
Bro, yeah, it's okay.
You don't want to come in? Ya is one of those children who she consistently earns really good grades, but she has some anxiety that I'm trying to help her work through. Okay. Is that enough? What was that? Oh, is it? Okay. We'll see. Socially, she has challenges. She's very self-conscious. I've been working with her to try to build a sense of efficacy with her. Oh. I was so excited about being one step away. Hey, there he is. I worry that if this transition comes to pass, those children may have a principal or teachers who settle for just them graduating from high school, or just them coming to school, or just them being able to play Connect Four with classmates. Those things are good, but not sufficient.
Not really good at it.
Well, that's why you're practicing in small groups. It's okay. That's the whole point of practicing.
Okay, what's going on right here? You ready? 8th graders, let's go! Why y'all? Who? Where Miss Brooks at? Let me check Miss Brooks. Okay. Why you in line? Oh, cause they got to get out. I don't care about y'all being with Miss Brooks. I run this. Let's go, 7th graders. That's my thing. You have to ask. Y'all can't just not go. That was my thing, okay? All right, y'all got to ask somebody. Don't just go, okay? Whether it's me, Miss Lord, but you got to talk so she can know what's happening, okay? All right? Good. Shay, you going to the party Friday? Yeah, I see you there. I was talking about, Yeah, you'll be in there with your mama. I know you're going.
Our building at Lone Grove, Alderman McDowell, she had a big write-up about NTA. And some parents were, the few that I spoke with in my building, was kind of a little dismayed and said, well, it's a done deal. I was like, no, it's not. It's not. So we need to keep reinforcing to parents, just because they read that and it was Alderman McDowell, quote unquote, that is finished.
You know, anytime you see a parent that tell them they say the fight over, tell them this battle is nowhere near over. You know, you still need to encourage them and say, hey, we need you to still come to the meeting. We need you to come here and support the school. We need to let that parent know, hey, this is not over with. Don't give up. Because I've had parents call me right now today and say, JP, they changing the school over. You know the first thing I tell them? Don't transfer your kid out. That's what I tell them. I said, if I ain't going nowhere, then you shouldn't go nowhere. So at the end, we're not going anywhere right now.
This school is definitely a strong school. I feel comfortable when my kids come to school. I can relax and know, hey, they're not gonna get beat up, bullied, anything. It's no school like that around here. Man, like this school cannot close. Oh my goodness.
I've always been in love with the city of Chicago and the story of Chicago. Everything that Chicago has and celebrates today was born out of this neighborhood. There was over 90 mansions in this area. The aggregate wealth of Prairie Avenue, there was only one place in the country that could rival, and it was Fifth Avenue. When I moved to the South Loop in 2003, working as a real estate broker, I was so excited about all the development. Chicago, booming real estate, hip restaurants, exploding population. The South Loop, welcome to the hottest neighborhood in the country. You had a lot of young families coming in because of the townhome development. You had a lot of empty nesters coming in because of the proximity to all the cultural assets of the city. And you had lots of urban professionals that wanted easy access to downtown. So here's South Loop Rising. And then one of the stories, see, here I am, the activist. I don't really even see myself as an activist. I see myself more as a much larger than that. Kind of like more like Daniel Burnham in the sense of like mover of people, right? Big, bringing people together on a large scale and facilitating connection. There was a lot of people in this neighborhood and no one was really connected. So I decided I was going to bring people together. But anyway, the Alderman Dowell sent out a Halloween spooktacular, and she has the right one on it. I am the president of the Prairie District Neighborhood Alliance. We started to do these social activities to connect people. Nicole, will you help me? When you saw the volume of families coming to our events, we realized very quickly that education was key to the long-term development of this community. Otherwise, people would just move away. So where are they gonna go to high school?
Every day is a beautiful day. Every day is a beautiful day.
CPS made it perfectly clear to the community, we cannot afford a new building. We're going to transition NTA into high school, and that was the only option that we had. How's it going? Did you do a pumpkin yet? A pumpkin? You can decorate pumpkin? No, I don't think he did. We wanted to try Here. PDNA's position was to do what was best for our community so families would stay here, so the quality of life could be improved. A lot of people that had come together to say, this is needed desperately. And so, yes, you know, the organization, PDNA, decided that we had to ultimately, we were forced to take a stand.
Members of the PDNA, folks in the Prairie District Neighborhood Association, have been calling for a high school to be installed in the South Loop neighborhood for years and years and years. And threats have been made to City Hall that if you do not build a high school here, we will leave Chicago. We will leave this neighborhood, and we are your base.
I feel like they haven't been to our school, so they shouldn't be speaking on a situation that they don't know anything about.
It's the fact of that they're turning like a minority black level 1+ school into a high school. And that's just saying, that's basically saying I have this power, I could take what I want without anybody doing something, which really makes me mad because that's not the truth. It's like,
in their decision or power, they're taking that away without considering maybe what that means to you or to your families or to this community.
And they're not even thinking about all the stuff that NTA has to offer. Like, we got iPads, Chromebooks, we have a swim pool, we have a drama class, Spanish class, a lot of different stuff. The thought needs to be stuck in their head, like NTA is a force to be reckoned with, and that we're not just a school, we're a community.
Tonight, you're going to a meeting that you're not invited to. So I think you have this really unique opportunity to have a student voice where you're representing not only yourselves, but your community, and you're also taking back power to the people it belongs to, which is people in this community, right? Because they haven't asked very many people in this community what they think should happen to this school, okay? So when we go in, Ms. Greer's gonna tell you a little bit about what's on the agenda and then what you guys think we should be messaging to the folks that are there.
The steering committee is a CPS committee that they put together to figure out the transition plan for NTA.
We've had one meeting so far, and I sat there and I was mad the entire time. They asked me to be on it, essentially to try to figure out how to close our school. That's why they want me on the committee. So in advance of the second meeting, they sent me the agenda, and this is what made me start to think of, okay, how can we disrupt this?
So basically, you backstab.
Yes, I am. That's exactly right.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right. Clearly, this will be my last meeting because I don't think I'm going to get invited back anymore. Which is fine with me because this is a bogus process, right? And they're setting up this meeting as though this is happening, and they actually haven't even officially presented the proposal to the board.
We're going in to disrupt their meeting, so you take over the agenda. Let's kind of hammer this out a little bit, and then I think
Who has children or family at NTA? Raise your hand. And understand what we saying and where we coming from, and then too, they need to change things.
Okay, so we have art therapy, we have counselor, we have teachers who support students, we have students. What about families who support?
I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be doing this.
All right, everybody, you ready? We're going to quietly walk up the stairs, and we're just going to enter into the room. And I'll take a seat, and I'll let you all do the talking. Okay?
That was surprising for me to learn that about myself, that I could call people out in public and be okay, and also being okay with disrupting social spaces, because that's scary.
We won't go away. The agenda for transitioning isn't needed because NTA gives us the opportunities we need.
And the NTA is not just a school, it's a community. And you don't know what you're throwing in the trash.
Are you guys finished? I think you're being misled. Nobody's going to keep you out of the school. And this is just a proposal here that we're doing for you all. But I want you all, excuse me, I want you all to know we're not closing into NTA. The proposal says it's transitioning into a high school, and if you choose, you have an opportunity to stay in that building and go to high school. You all had nothing to do with this. But the protocol of this steering committee was disrespected tonight. And it was disrespected by a member. And I'm sorry for it.
Up until that point, I had never so flagrantly sort of raised a middle finger and said, you know, this whole thing is a sham.
We won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go.
Thank you.
NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go.
He said 8th graders, about the 8th graders getting graduated and all, but what about the 4th graders?
That's
what
what I
about the
said.
3rd graders, the 1st, the 2nd? It's not just about us. I know we're graduating, but it's their school
That's
too.
what I said. What about the first graders, second graders? They still gotta graduate. That means they would have to leave to go to the
I'm very supportive of the youth, so please open your doors to me. I'm out. That's what I do. I love the kids. I always been involved with the children, even with my own little committee. I may have 20 kids that I take to the park. That's what I just to keep kids occupied. So please, I may have 20 kids in my house, just in my house.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I do. So please,
I be wanting to put them out.
allow me to help you all or support you.
I'm the father of the house. I be wanting to put them out. I don't know what's wrong with them kids, man. This girl come in the house. Every time she come to the house, she got NTA in the house. I be like, oh, where they go sleep? They find a pillow to sleep on.
I make a way, and they love just being around me, just being in my house. I mean, I do what I do, but anything that I could support the kids with, that was do. So please involve me in that, especially during the summertime. Please do.
So I can carry on a little bit more.
I'm from the, as we call it, y'all call it the South Loop, we call it the low end. Lived down in Harold Ickes all my life. We had 12 buildings down there, one which NTA sits on. When NTA came up, our local LAC, which is Gloria Williams, that passed away, she said, you're not gonna never put that $2 million school in the back of these projects, and my kids ain't gonna go to it. When we first opened NTA, we started off rough, level 3 school, us picking up this wonderful principal, Amy Wrong, and we had to tell her, in order for the school to work, you got to get with the community. You got to open up the doors for the school, for the families to come in, for the parents to be able to come in and touch bases and see what resources we got.
Audrey helped us organize these community walks.
We walked through, introduce her, this the principal, woo woo, you know, when she come through here, y'all need to honor and respect her.
I think they started to trust that we were there because we were, wanted to be comrades and colleagues and be really solutions oriented.
So we built that relationship with them, and the school began to, you know, come on up.
Audrey forged the way there to really blur the distinctions between the school and the community. And there were pretty significant walls there.
The projects is not what people think they are. Everybody in the projects wasn't low income. My father was a janitor down in Ickes for like 36 years. My mom worked for the railroad and the post office, both. She got like 27 years in each one of them. I've seen a lot of tragedy down there. I've seen quite a few of my friends go down. So we had our problems, but I say our good days way out our bad days down in them projects. 4th of July was one of the biggest things down in the projects. Everybody barbecuing. I mean, the music playing from one end to the other. We had tournaments in about real live tournaments, basketball tournaments that brought the city to the projects. We did everything everybody else did. We just lived in high-rise buildings. We've been hearing it way before years that eventually it was gonna go down. We had a lot of sad days during them buildings tear down. You know, our kids was very emotional just every day looking at the school building, seeing, there go my room, the bulldozer just went through my room. Me and another family was one of the last residents to leave. It was hard for me to get up out of here. It was a struggle for me because I've been here all my life. What up, y'all? What up, baby dad? What up, baby? These are all my sisters over here. The reunion has been going on for over 50 years. We're about to come together for a 3-day weekend and do us.
Contest is go.
So this was our names when we was younger, the Southside Playgirls. Right.
Southside, you already know, we from the low end, 24th and State Street. That's where Southside comes from.
Right.
Playgirls, it's self-explanatory. Playgirls is self-explanatory. Yes, sir. Not saying that we was players. And we all played our men and whatnot.
That's so silly. All 5 of my kids has graduated, except one now. Audrey is in 7th grade. That will be the last of my children that graduate from NTA. My daughter, a few of the kids, that's going to be the end of the Icky kids that started from day one. Audrey class is going to be the end of that.
I'm here representing the city of Chicago, the students, principals, parents, and teachers of Chicago. I guess the mayor had to step out when I came up, but it's cool because I'm here to talk to you guys right now.
I grew up on the south side of Chicago. There's just a vast difference between the schools on the south side and the schools downtown and on the north side. Some of the nicer areas have better funding.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We partnered up with a bunch of different people and created this movement or call to action to fund CPS, especially schools that were experiencing the most budget cuts.
Yeah. Here, you guys hold it. There we go. I've been asking for money for over a year now to fund these classrooms, and they announced that they have $95 million, or that they're proposing to build a $95 million cop academy. But there's a lot of ways to transform the city that don't have anything to do with police training.
This money that was nowhere to be found for so long, but then when they needed $95 million to build a nice cop academy across the street from one of the high schools that we're raising money for, it's like that money comes together like this.
What is y'all doing? What is y'all doing? It doesn't make sense.
When I went to go testify about the police academy, the kids from NTA were there to testify as well, to keep their school open.
It's not okay for you to take away something that's made us a whole and taught us valuable lessons to give it to someone else who hasn't worked as hard as we have. And we feel...
You got it, Murray.
Our kids were so powerful to the point they escorted us out. We had to go.
It wasn't like they seemed angry, they seemed like focused, organized, militant. it kind of made me feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, because like just feeling associated to it isn't enough.
Chan chased up behind us. Oh, hey, who are y'all? Who are y'all? He said, y'all just killed them in there. You know, y'all just killed them in there. That's what I'm talking about. He took pictures with the kids down the City Hall. He like, take my number.
And we connected, and we had planned on meeting later in the school year to you know, kind of figure things out.
I know I found one. How you gonna tell me how tall I am? How you gonna rearrange my head? I'm like,
you might be like 5'3".
the friendships that we create at NTA are like bonds that you want to remember. I'm talking. We're all so goofy. She jumping. Let's come sit down and I can tell an embarrassing story. So first grade, I've entered NTA. I'm a little shy, but then like I broke out of my shell, right? Y'all wanna know my first crush? He's sitting in this room. Messiah. It was weird. I used to know how to spell his name. Like, okay, so he used to sit next to me. We was at the first table. I remember this. It's this table at the beginning of the class. And he sat like right there, and I sat like right there. And it's like our names was on a chart right at the wall, and I used to know how to spell his name from that chart. I used to know how to spell his first and last name.
That's some creepy stuff.
Yeah, I liked him, but he ain't like me
You learned all
back.
of that in your first year?
Yep.
I was focused on school. Let me put it like that. I was focused on school.
Took you a couple of years.
Do you watch sports?
I should have just had you drive me, Mama, because you up.
Said what?
Huh?
Have me drive you.
What you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
I've raised a whole lot of grandchildren in this house. Taylor has a good drive for school. That's the most important thing. She likes it. She does well. She can tell you her opinion, whether you agreed all the time or not. She's going to petition. She's going to boycott, and she's going to talk to the people in authority. Somebody called, said Taylor's on TV. So when I turned it on, I heard her speak. I was impressed. She did very well.
Oh, if I take the 7:54 bus, I will get to school by 8:14, so I'm cool.
You won't be late? Okay. She's a lot like her mother. She looks a lot like her mother, and she acts like her mother. Olivia had a drive. She's always progressive. She wants to do. The day after Taylor was born, I talked to her mother that morning. She was so excited about Taylor, and she thought she was so beautiful. She said, please come to the hospital. Okay. I said goodbye, and I told her, take care of yourself, girl, get some rest. I love you. She said, okay, Ma, I'll look for you. I said, okay. That was the end of our conversation. Before I could get to the hospital, Taylor's mother passed. They stood her up, her first time of standing up, and the blood clot broke her loose from the leg and went to the heart. The nurse said to me, when I got there, they were crying too, but it was quick and she was gone. And looking at Taylor without a mother was really sad. I replaced her only because I'm the grandmother. I could never replace her mother. She would be the same if her mother was living.
Well, bye, Mom.
Have a good day.
Okay. It's just like, you know how like I feel like people are puzzles. A piece of my puzzle is missing.
Put that on the table, on top of that calculus book.
What does the table signify?
The table signify I know where they're going.
Fluid dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see. Amorphous polymers and non-Newtonian fluids.
Oh, keep that. That's a keeper.
It's a keeper. Sounds like a page turner. Both of my parents are educators. I don't think that's why I became a college professor, even though both my parents are college professors. Differential equation.
Hold on. What is
Bubby,
this?
you can't complain about me keeping things.
I'm sorry.
That's not fair.
I have stuff I have given away. This is out.
Okay.
My dad is from the South, and he's in his 70s. And so when I told him about what's going on here, he just started laughing. This is like the exact same thing that I knew growing up in the Jim Crow South.
Oh, Melvin, you had this at Morehouse in '61.
I did?
Oh my God. For those of us who come from traditions of HBCUs.
Morehouse College, 1961.
My husband went to Morehouse, so did my father and my grandfather.
Look, you got somebody's phone number.
I wonder if they're still there.
There was this very ugly undercurrent in this whole conversation that an all-Black classroom it cannot be smart. It is not an educationally viable classroom. It can only be good if it's integrated. That personally bothers me because now you're talking about my family history, right? And there are many parents who either went to HBCUs themselves or family members. It's like, you're saying that we're not good enough. We're not smart.
All right. I'm actually just going to give you a multiplication problem. All right, ready? Here we go. No talking now. Once I give you go ahead, you can erase. All right, erase. Good job. This makes me happy.
All right, so I want everybody to go ahead and think about that one line or phrase from the text that stood out to you the most. And we're gonna do a quick poetic whip around. We've done it before, and just go around the table and everyone's gonna share their word. Okay, ready?
Slavery still alive, check Amendment 13.
Black bodies being lost in the American dream.
Sweet land of liberty, incarcerated country.
Forgive them, Father, they know it's not as undone. Prison is a business, America's the company.
All right, so let's take a moment and look at these lyrics. What is the connection between these lyrics and the 13th Amendment? What's the connection there? Take a moment to think about it and gather your evidence.
I feel like when it's saying slavery still alive, check Amendment 13, it's kind of referring to the fact that due to mass incarceration of blacks, it's sort of connecting to back in the day to where slavery was still alive. The 13th Amendment isn't really freeing us. They're still using its loophole to continue with the acts of slavery.
We heard a lot in 2013 on the news about failing schools. So we are not failing. We are like an A+. We are level 1+. Like how, what else can we do? We're doing everything that we've been asked to do.
This is my neighborhood school. When I sent my kid here, I live in a condo that's between 18th and 19th, and between Clark and State. There are 250 homes. 250 homes with lots of kids. My kid was the first one in my neighborhood to come to this school. So there are a lot of people at South Loop Elementary School who won't come to this school. And I kept saying, why? Like, why? I don't understand. You're not sending your kid there with those kids, are you? I'm like, what kids? I don't understand. Like, So to me, this whole thing is about race, 100%. That school is overcrowded because people were afraid to send their kids here, and nobody wants to say it. And now, it's not enough that they're overcrowded because they wouldn't send their kids here. They're gonna take our building for their kids to have a high school. It is unfair.
When our daughter was kindergarten age, there wasn't a good public school.
that was within our boundary. The South Loop Elementary School was probably in the bottom 5% if you looked at metrics of all elementary schools across the city in 2003. I mean, it was really terrible. So at the time, Arne Duncan was the chief executive of the Chicago Public Schools. And the relationship really developed because he personally recruited our family. He essentially said, jump off with us. And so our daughter actually enrolled in the first gifted kindergarten class at South Loop Elementary. When we started there, the school was 97, 98% African-American, maybe 99% African-American. By the second or third year, and once we got buy-in from the neighborhood, the character of the school definitely changed. And once we were able to institute kind of proper decorum and behavior and really expectations, the children took to it. By the time my daughter left after the 7th grade, we had become a school of choice, but we could also see the neighborhood was developing such that we would need to start having a place for those graduating students to go to high school. Arne Duncan went to become Obama's education secretary, and Ron Huberman was appointed by Mayor Daley to become the new CEO of CPS. Now, at this point, I had political connections, and so we were able to get meetings with Mr. Huberman and talk directly about the high school option. Ron was very receptive, and we pitched, at the time, the National Teachers Academy. You have all this excess capacity at NTA. You have tremendous overcrowding and loss of resource rooms at South Loop Elementary. Why don't you combine the two areas into one K through 12? You could give families that got into kindergarten knowing that they would be in the area all the way through high school graduation. There were a certain amount of parents that were very concerned about the neighborhood of NTA, basically because they'd never been over there. There was a liquor store nearby. It wasn't seen as the greatest place. There was kind of a rush to quell those concerns by talking about having a separate entrance, not really being integrated.
The proposal included every measure that they could take where their kids would not be at all mixed or merged with the NTA students. Separate entry time, separate dismissal time, separate main office, separate lunch and, eating situations. They wanted their kids not to go to music or art or recess or gym or anything with the kids from NTA.
This ain't segregation. We ain't doing that. You all can come in here. We are welcome you right on in. Your whole school that's built to hold 1,100 kids. Come on in.
I don't think it was ever racial because South Loop Elementary's always been a majority minority student population, but it was more economic and classist.
The families in South Loop were calling themselves things like pioneers in terms of coming there, which to me is disgusting. It's such disregard for the people who had been there before. So I think it was dehumanizing and disgraceful.
So the end result was, let's give up on this plan. South Loop didn't solve its overcrowding problem. They didn't get the classrooms at NTA, and Ron Huberman leaves, Mayor Daley leaves, and now Mayor Emanuel comes in with all new executives. And so you start the process all over again. I've learned that gentrification or development in an area creates tension. And certainly through the Prairie District Neighborhood Alliance, we're exposed to a lot of that tension. I've been fighting this battle for over a decade. There's no question that a high school is needed for this area.
Funding quality education for public students is the most important investment a community can make.
After meeting us, Chance the Rapper said he would find a way to help us. He went on social media and he posted about NTA and stuff.
We had planned on coming up to the school to kind of lift spirits and work with the students.
I mean, that whole day, the kids, Miss Audrey, what's the surprise, woo-woo. They see GCI come set up, they ready. They ready. I mean, I got my kids on 10. Ready.
So you guys got the news that the event is canceled, right?
You say what happened?
The event is not happening.
I just wanted to go by there, and CPS barred me from going there. I was just like, damn, y'all don't want, I'm not allowed to go on the property? They're like, no, you cannot step foot on the property of that school. I've been spending the year visiting schools and even being asked by CPS to visit certain schools. For them to tell me that this one school that's actually in danger of being another shut down public school displacing black kids in the city made me feel like a lot of some of the stuff that maybe they were asking me to do was more for symbolism rather than actual action.
My network chief told me really clearly over the phone that I needed to shut down the event, shut down the visit, or I'd be fired. I tried to reason with him about why Chance coming to NTA was special and why, as the principal, that was a decision that I was not comfortable making. And he said, you can either cancel the event or you can be fired. And he asked me what I was gonna do. He said, so what is it gonna be? And I wasn't able to make a decision in that moment, so we just sat there on the phone for a few seconds before he finally decided to end the phone call, and he said, you've told me all I need to hear, Isaac. Goodbye.
Why is it so hard for him to come here and he could go to any other school and there ain't no problem? Then they send our principal down there to a meeting, and I'm just hoping he's not in trouble. I don't know, I'm too upset to even keep talking, y'all.
Within then about a half hour, I got an email from someone high up in CPS requiring me to go to a meeting downtown. Saw in the meeting room the CEO, Janice Jackson, and the Director of Employee Engagement. And on that particular day, I had a Black Students Matter shirt on. So she looked at the shirt and she said, you know, we've given you a lot of chances. We've been really patient with you. Everyone that we've talked to about you has said that you're a really great principal, you're a great person. But at this point, it's really hard for me to believe that you're not coordinating and collaborating with your parents to fight against this school action. And she pointed to my shirt and she said, I mean, right now, you're wearing a shirt that is from an organization that is obviously anti-CPS. And I was taken aback a little bit by that statement because I don't see the shirt as an opposition to Chicago Public Schools. I see it as something that Chicago Public Schools ought to clearly advocate for and support.
NTA is a level 1 plus school. When has ever in the history of CPS have they tried to close a 1 plus school in Chicago? Never!
What they were experiencing and what we were all witnessing together was a movement of parents devoted to saving their school. And Dr. Jackson said, yeah, but you can't be part of that movement. I said, I'm not part of that movement. I'm part of the NTA community, but I'm not the one leading parents in their efforts to try and save the school. Dr. Jackson, the lawyer there, asked me to put my official statement in writing in response to the allegations that I was coordinating and orchestrating the parent opposition to the plan, which I did.
We made an agreement before we did this action that today we're not getting arrested.
I still have not yet heard from CPS.
Today, we got out the street voluntarily. In a minute, you're going to have to be like, we ain't getting out the street. You got to take your mind out of we don't have power and realize the power you have.
You got to make sure that the learning you're doing shows up in your grade. It's in your head, it's in your brain. It needs to go on your paper and on your tests and in your homework. To be successful in an environment where you're teaching a group of students who look different from you and whose culture is different from your own, you must listen, you must study, you must pay attention to the culture around you. My first year as principal here at NTA, school year 2013, NTA was designated as a welcoming school, which means that we became a school that students from a closed school would attend. And so when the students came to NTA, it was an uneasy process because although I and the staff here were welcoming the children and wanted them here, there was still apprehension.
Isaac had it rough. It was rough.
He had a hard year.
People didn't necessarily trust him as a leader. And it ended up being more chaotic and chaos.
There were some mistakes where like kids were hurt and like things did not go well.
We had a major fight that happened outside the school. And my solution was to buy all the kids pizza the next day and have a big circle and talk about what had occurred. And that couldn't have been further from the right solution because the message that kids got from that was, if we fight, we get pizza.
People, I think, gave him the benefit of the doubt for a while, and then people started saying, we don't think you should stay, and that was really hard for him.
They needed someone who would step up in times of crisis, and too often I failed to do that. I shrunk from the crisis rather than rise up to it.
I don't think it's fair at all for anybody to only get one shot at something. I said he deserves another year to get it right.
In my case, it required me to be very aware of how my race immediately, as soon as students walk into the classroom, are impacted by that. By me being a white male, there's immediately a barrier there between me and them because of their perception of whites, of white males, perhaps of what they think I think of them. And so one of the ways that I think got past that with my children was by making sure that they understood that I had very high expectations for them and I was gonna help them meet those expectations.
If you're really close friends with someone and you like to hang out with them, you wouldn't forget to include them.
Not necessarily.
So usually I sit on the...
Not necessarily. Do you believe me?
I'm just the type of person who doesn't want to ask to be included. I just want people to include me.
Yes, of course. Everyone wants to be loved and popular and, oh, where's Ya? We've got to have Ya in our group.
No, I'm not saying I want popular.
But you want people to want you around, right?
Right, I don't want to be, I don't want to be excluded.
Okay.
Like,
but
it's hard for me to come out my shell.
Well, that's what I'm going back to is I want you to work on finding your voice.
I'm just afraid that someone might hurt my feelings or like they won't like me or something like that because I know I have trust issues. I don't trust everybody. Like,
here's the next thing I want you to start thinking about, okay?
okay.
I want you to start thinking about how to advocate for yourself with friends. Being a little bit more vocal. When you see I know it's hard, just like asking questions was hard. But when your friends are planning something that you're interested in, you can say, hey guys, what are you talking about? But listen, but do that, okay? With your friends, when they plan a trip or they do something else and you're not included, you're assuming that it's because they don't want to talk to you or they're trying to leave you out, and they're not exactly.
I'm not trying to leave me out, just forgetting about me.
That may be, but my advice to you is when you use your voice more, when you make sure that your friends see you, hear from you, know that you're interested in them, that will make a difference. Because if you don't advocate for yourself, sometimes no one else will. There won't be a Castellaz around or a teacher around or your parents around to do it. You're gonna have to advocate for yourself.
I don't know. I just thought you were going to believe me, and that you're less likely to judge me.
And you still have left out all of Canaryville. You have left us to the wolves, basically, at this point, because our only school option is Tilden, a level 2, gang-infested school that is in need of intensive CPS support.
I've seen firsthand students come from hardworking, tax-paying families and can't afford a private education. The only option in Bridgeport and Canaryville is to attend a neighborhood high school that has a long history of underperformance and violence. The children in these communities deserve a quality education. Therefore, I'm asking that CPS reconsider the boundaries to include all of the Bridgeport and Canaryville communities.
Hi there, my name is Nita Barr, and today I'm going to talk to you about the word dog whistle. A dog whistle is when we talk about race without ever using the word race. A speaker spoke about being from Bridgeport and be left to the wolves to attend gang-infested public high schools. Infestation, what does that make you think of? Unpleasant things, roaches, things that we think of as unpleasant, not necessarily what you would want to think of as students, certainly not neighbors, certainly not families and communities that we consider ourselves part of. The very next speaker said that families in his neighborhood are good tax-paying families who deserve access to this new high school. Well, who's not good? Who's not tax-paying? That makes me think of my status as an immigrant in this country and who is taxed and who is not allowed to be taxed. And then earlier, there was a retired teacher from Holden who spoke about very good family values and why students from Holden should be taken because they add value to the new high school. That's a really fascinating context because, again, that school does not have a large population of black students. That assumes that you can't have a high-quality school if you have too many black students. And the good news is we have a case that demonstrates that that is just absolutely not true. And that case, ladies and gentlemen, is National Teachers Academy.
It's not great to have people get up and call you a racist at community meetings.
We became the, evildoer. It certainly was never about power or racism for us. Certainly not for me.
I didn't appreciate the racist tone that they took in their arguments because I don't think that was valid, but I understood where they were coming from.
We didn't want to be, have, NTA against South Loop or PDNA against NTA families. That was never, ever the intention. The last thing we wanted to do was steal a school from somebody. If you merge the two schools together, they're all going to have a great elementary school. And we would have a neighborhood high school. There is a lot of disparity, that it doesn't seem fair, that some schools get closed, others don't. I had to ask myself the question of, should I be speaking out for the larger issue, which is a citywide issue of disparity in education? And this was not an easy question for me to answer. But in the end, what I felt is that my role was really to advocate for my community.
I believe some of the presenters have accused us, the board and CPS management, of fostering racism. This decision somehow disadvantages black and brown kids. Why do people think that we're closing NTA when in fact we're converting it?
I was just going to say, I think what we've heard from community members is that they would like NTA to remain in its current state. So any change to that is viewed as a closing or a loss for the community, which we have heard and obviously have to respond to. The school is a wonderful community and we agree with that. And I think that the students who attend this school for elementary school will continue to get a high quality education in the elementary school, and they will also be able to attend this school for high school. And I think that that is a strong plan and a plan that we stand by.
We will not let them take us down. We will fight for our school. We will fight for the children, not just NTA kids, our city. We will not let politics take us down. All our kids need help, support. They need to be back in school. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm in my feelings, y'all.
It's okay.
I'm in my feelings.
You're all right, Andre.
Every time I talk about the kids, I'm in my feelings.
Yes.
As of yesterday, it'll be 13 kids I'm gonna go to a funeral. Yesterday, I seen the boy lay dead in front of my building. 56 in Michigan.
Talk about it. Yes, ma'am.
Young lady walking past and got shot right with him. Lucky she didn't die, but the young man did. Why? They don't have nothing to do. School saves kids.
That's right.
We got to love the kids, whether they're yours or not. We got to love the kids.
Takes a village. Takes a village.
NTA is here to stay. NTA is here to stay.
NTA is here to stay. Ida B was here today. She was there with us. We choose public school. We choose public school. If Ecomax was here today, he was there with us to say. We choose public school. We choose public school. If MLK was here today, he was there with us to say. Man up. Man up. We're gonna go to the 5th floor and shut it down.
Now, if you could keep the sign down, because this is about a family that lost their son, okay? And then you can do all your stuff, but they've been waiting to say, okay, we really appreciate you guys being respectful while they talk. Thank you.
My name is Miracle Boy. I'm a sophomore from John Hope College Prep, and we are here today we're demanding that CPS stop the vote on the phase out. And we demand that CPS be under investigation because they said our community members voted for our schools to be closed. And we don't recall any of our community members voting for our schools to be closed. CPS plans to close NTA, John Hope, Harper, Robeson, and Team Inglewood. So we're here today and we demand that our mayor stops his inconveniences and stop inconveniencing us and our teachers, our parents, and everybody else. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. We don't get it, shut it down. Hey, hey. Go home. Bobby Manning has got to go. Hey, hey. Go home. Bobby Manning has got to go. Hey, hey. Go home. Bobby Manning has got to go. Hey, hey.
Go home. Lost their son. They moved upstairs, but we can hear you. Can you give us 5 minutes?
Bobby Manning has got to go. Will you open our school?
But you guys, there's a family that lost their son by a drunken police officer.
I
understand. But can you give us 5 minutes? I know, I understand. But can you give us just 5 minutes of quiet while they do their news conference?
I'll give it out.
Because they've been waiting all day. And then you can you do it for us 5 minutes? And then they'll be done. Because we're hearing all the noise upstairs.
When do we want it? Now. What do we want? In the school. Now.
Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
The vote now has been secured. the Board of Education approved the NTA high school proposal, part of me was fully expecting to be terminated today. Firing me could be a symbolic gesture of some kind or form, signaling that this proposal is now policy and that everybody ought to simply fall in line and get behind it. Most of all, folks at NTA.
Yeah.
There were a lot of long faces.
Some of the kids had tears in their eyes. Some of the kids even asked me, Mrs. Brooks, do we come to school today or tomorrow? Does this mean that we don't have school tomorrow? So trying to get them to realize it's not over. You do have school and it's okay. Your school is here.
Even though this decision has now been made, regardless of what the Board of Education has decided, we still believe in our children.
It looks like he knows what he's doing. And it's all neat and boutique, and it's in order. And it's like, hey, I got this. Remember, you are loved.
Today has been a long time coming. When we at NTA first discovered CPS's plans to close our beloved school, we immediately reached out and sought legal counsel. We are a school that should be modeled throughout CPS. And today, as we celebrate our graduating 8th graders, we are so proud of the leadership they have shown.
Many of you in this room and many of our children on this stage have advocated deeply, publicly, emphatically, to save our school. You see, we love our school, don't we? We love each other. We love everything that we built here together.
We have protested at board meetings, and we have protested in the streets. Today, we are protesting by filing a lawsuit.
A coalition of lawyers have filed an injunction today to stop the closure of National Teachers Academy.
Starting today, we will be ignored no longer.
Honor student Taylor Wallace. Honor student Messiah Armstrong.
Graduating from NTA has given us all on this stage a huge passport for the future. And I know that we are ready for everything the futures hold. Dream, believe, and achieve. We are the class of 2018.
100 miles to be here.
We shaking. We shake. How about a hug?
Shake
We are suing for two main reasons. Number one, we are suing that it is a violation of our civil rights because you are burdening a protected class, African Americans. We are being put at a disadvantage. And the second piece is that we are suing because the CPS has been in violation of the Illinois School Code, a set of instructions for how you do a school action. And there are many different steps that you are supposed to take before you take action upon a school. And CPS, basically, they violated it in 5 different ways, which is basically they violated the whole code.
Would this be happening if it was a majority white school? And that sits and cuts right into the racialized history of this city and what communities have felt time and time again.
More cries of outrage and protest reading the final vote. The Chicago School Board today voted on mass school closings. This is the largest round of school closures at one time ever in any American city.
In 2013, when they closed all the schools, many, many people sued, and none of them were successful. The legal system was always able to fall back on the school's underutilized, or the school was underperforming. Here's the thing, none of the lawsuits, none of the schools, none of the situations were the same as ours.
The cumulative effect of everything that, I've experienced as principal, but most importantly, this community has experienced, I think takes its toll after a while. If CPS knew that I was being interviewed by you and participating in your documentation of the fight to save NTA, I would definitely be fired. I have no doubt about it.
Why are you letting us hear?
Yeah. Because education, as I said in one of our early interviews, is something that I think can be the great equalizer in our country. And so if someone can take something from this experience, or from my experience as a principal, or from our children, or others who fought to keep NTA open, then I think it's a risk well taken. Those are all the things you said it takes to work well with another person. Look at the one that you think is most important to you and your teammate. Talk to the person that you're working with and tell them which word you selected and why, and then begin your work.
Mr. C?
Yes?
I'm gonna need some help on this one.
You're gonna have to find some help from a friend. You got Jay-Z there, you got Brandon there.
Do you guys think this looks good? This one is.
You asking for help? Yeah?
Kind of.
You said you were gonna need some help. Who helped you?
Sort of.
Who helped you?
Jaden told me it looked good.
All right, anything? Did you ask for help?
I don't know how to put this piece in. Wait.
All right, there you go, Jaden. There's your cue, buddy.
Okay. Because right here, because it goes in this part, but this one is blocking it.
You look at the web there of working well with others. What quality did you show, and what quality did Jaden show?
I think I showed courage.
Okay, good.
I showed courage because I asked Jaden for help instead of being afraid to ask him. And Jaden showed understanding because he understood what I was going through.
All right, good. Good. That's right.
I think it's hard when people who don't know you talk bad about you. The things that they are saying about you are based either on their own racism or on lies. So many ugly things have been said about us, about our children, about our color, about our ability to learn. And then when that narrative gets elevated to a citywide level and then becomes a structural issue as a reason why they should shut you down, then it becomes personal, because now you're talking about my kids.
That is on my chin.
That's where the pain comes in. If we lose this, I don't know if I have it in me to keep going. We keep putting forth these valiant efforts, and we keep losing.
Bye, Noah. Love you. Have a good day. Thank you.
I made sure to get to the courtroom before anybody else. I wanted to get there as early as I could so that I could just be alone a little bit with my thoughts. There was this terrible sense of uncertainty.
We go in there, the judge finally comes in, so it's dead silent, and it's packed.
As it pertained to city law, he ruled that there had been no violation. And when he said that to us, you know, my heart, which had been pounding, now sank.
You know, it was so devastating in that moment to think that we tried, but we failed again. And then he said, however, in the case of the Illinois Civil Rights Code, you know, I do find that it has merit and that it will stand.
and therefore the court rules to grant the injunction.
Love you too.
Oh my God. I wasn't gonna cry. I wasn't gonna cry.
Today at 3:25, the judge granted our.
Did you tell her? I did. Okay. We would not have won if it were not for Candace. She was the one who wrote that fifth claim, the civil rights violation, and that was the claim that did not get thrown out and is the reason why we got our injunction.
Do you feel like they should just drop it? And I mean, yes, it certainly seems like a prime time to do it, but that is something that they'll have to decide.
This is not the end, right? So they wanted it to be very clear to us that this is not the end, that we still have a lot more to go. We got a long road ahead. But we were all sort of given permission to enjoy the moment.
shot. Because you can't go 20 months of people telling you you're full of shit and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden they finally say like, yeah, you were right.
Well, CPS might file some sort of an appeal to the injunction or something like that.
They will. But we're ready for it.
They will?
Yeah, they likely will. They have to. To save face.
He's a reporter for the Tribune.
Families, we have an important announcement to make. Juan Perez Jr. of the Chicago Tribune is reporting that Chicago Public Schools is abandoning its plan to turn NTA into a high school.
So, Dr. Greer, this is about the fourth time I've seen this, and I have come away with several emotions, as I see that you have as well. So, one of the things that I notice about you is that you're a disruptor. John Lewis would call it good trouble. So, you had some good trouble. So, I just want to start out with the first question. What was it like to see your advocacy being played out on the big screen?
It's really surreal. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate it so much. When you're in it, you don't realize what is happening. So when you get the opportunity to step back, and not only step back from the situation and seeing it played out on the screen, but also step back in time, because this was that final scene happened in December of 2018. So with the grace of time and then also seeing yourself on the screen, it makes the experience, it's almost like, I can't believe we did all that? Oh, that's crazy. When Kevin is the director, when he first showed me the initial rough cut of the movie, I was playing it on my computer, watched the entire thing. When it was over, I closed the screen and I just cried. It had been, oh gosh, when did he show me? Maybe in 21 or 2020, late 2020, he showed it to me. And all the emotions came back. It was extremely triggering. And I couldn't watch it again. And I didn't. I didn't watch it until the final version was done several months later, because I was just not emotionally ready for it.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So we need to do a Where Are They Now? Let's see where they are now. Principal Castellaz.
Yes.
What's going on with my brother? Yes,
that's right. I mean, he is, he needs to do like workshops on white allyship. He really does. He is no longer the principal of NTA. However, he did not get fired. He left on his own volition in, I believe it was 21. And if he were here, he would tell you that he would never have left if he did not know that the school would be in good hands. And currently now the principal is Tanika Brooks, who was the assistant principal, in the movie. Yes. And actually the current assistant principal is now Courtney Langston, who in the movie was the 8th grade teacher teaching the students doing the whip around.
Great. So parent and employer Audrey Johnson. What's going on with her?
Miss Audrey, she is definitely still there. She's definitely running things. That is her cafeteria. She does not care what Miss Brooks has to say. I see her every day when I go to the school.
Okay. So JP, security and the mayor of NTA.
Oh, absolutely still there. Absolutely still knows all the kids' names, knows all the parents, all the grandparents, everybody who comes through there. He is still there.
Okay, so Taylor Wallace, she was an 8th grader then. She should probably just have finished high school.
Yes, and Taylor is on her way to. I get Taylor and Marie. I get the two colleges mixed up. I think Taylor is going to Georgia State, although don't quote me on that. And I think Marie is at Tennessee State, and Taylor. This moment lit a fire under her, and if you were to talk to her today, she'd say she wants to be a civil rights attorney. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Very good. And so one more. How about Ya?
Yeah.
Ya was a 5th grader.
Yes. So Ya's doing great. So according to Mr. Castelas, the two of them have stayed in touch, and she is currently in high school in Chicago, and she's on the track team, and I think she, if I remember correctly, said she's about to be the head of the head of the varsity track, because I guess she's really that great. And he said that he can tell in her communications that her confidence has just grown, and she's really blossomed as a young lady, and he is extremely proud of her.
Wonderful. So I'm going to stop here and pause. If there are any questions from anybody in the audience for Dr. Greer. Okay.
Yes, it's been an amazing ride. So we have been going around the country to various school districts and organizations. I've gone to many different places: California, the Bay Area, New Orleans, Jefferson City, Missouri. Earlier this week I was in DC. I'm back in Chicago doing another one tomorrow. And then Kevin and Isaac, the two of them, have also been going to other ones that I haven't been able to go to. And it's really been impactful because these problems are systemic. They're everywhere. And so groups and organizations who watch the movie would like for us to come and talk about what this process was like, right? And possibly how they can replicate it in their own school districts. And I'm so happy to be able to share not only the story, but at least the things that I learned from having been in the trenches, and to be able to help out the people who to hopefully affect change in their own districts.
And if you notice on the one-page flyer, she is a professor at Harold Washington College. So I asked her at dinner if this was a new gig for her. I mean, if this has taken her to a new level. So I think based on what she's doing, this certainly could take on a life of its own. Okay, we had another question over here.
None of the ones that you mentioned. However, we almost immediately got support from grassroots, well-established grassroots organizations, not only that operate within the city of Chicago, but are also nationwide. So Journey for Justice was one of the big ones who really helped us out in teaching me and teaching, my friends how to do this work, right? Because you don't know how to get into good trouble until someone shows you how to do it. And so G2 Brown, who was the brother who helped us block the street when he was saying, today we not gonna get arrested. He has been there, done that. He's been in the trenches, his entire life. And he works for Journey for Justice, which is a national organization. And so through him, I was able to get connected to other organizations to help to amplify our voice and then also help to train us in community organizing. Fortunately not, no. I mean, we worked really, really hard as parents to protect the principal and the teachers from backlash. I would always say whenever someone, would sort of get in their feelings, right? One of the teachers or one of the administrators, I'm like, just look, if district office comes for you, blame me. Because they can fire you from your job, but they can't fire me from being a parent. So just go on and blame me. Just blame me, blame me, blame me. Because we tried so hard to keep them protected. And there were a few moments, particularly that Chance moment, when we really did think he was going to get fired. But fortunately, he didn't. And there was no backlash on any of the teachers. That's a great question. I don't believe so. Not yet, anyway. So, politics in Chicago is it's a thing. And so right now we just elected a new mayor, Brandon Johnson, who was a former Chicago Public Schools teacher and came through the ranks of CTU and was a CTU organizer. Under Mayor Lori Lightfoot, there was a lot of animosity between CTU and the mayor, and they almost went on strike when she was the mayor. Now we are hopeful that he will take the community schools model, of which NTA is one. There are a few others in the city, not many, but he at least his platform, he has said he wants to take that model and apply it to all of the other schools in the city, particularly the ones that are the most under-resourced and have been neglected for decades. So I'm really hoping that with this new mayor, that there will be some kind of institutional in-writing contract language that will not only, protect teachers, but also just help build and codify, right, what we're doing at NTA, because that really should be modeled. Every school should be fully resourced, period, full stop. And so hopefully and they're talking about changing the school funding formula, so we are a little bit hopeful that these things will actually change. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. We actually had 3 law firms working for us. And so here's how it happened. So Nikita, who was the one who stood up and gave that really great dog whistle speech, that's my girl. She was personal friends with Candace. So Candace worked at the Chicago Lawyers Committee. And so when this whole thing started to happen, she called Candace and she was like, we need your help. At the same time, but unbeknownst to each other, my friend Anika, who was the one in the middle of the street with the bullhorn, she is attorney herself. She's an NTA parent. And what she did, and I thought this was just brilliant, something I never would have thought of not being a lawyer, when we found out this was happening, she went to the all of the legal papers that had been written when the schools tried to sue in 2013. And even though none of them were successful, of course, all of the court cases have been written up, and all of the, the filings and the procedures and what people did and the outcomes and all of that. She read through all of those. She found one that she thought was particularly smart, that the writing was brilliant, and she loved the legal mind that was behind it. And that was written by a woman named Kate Gladson. So she called Kate at Legal Aid Chicago, that's where she worked, and said, we need your help. And so both Kate and Candace, who knew each other professionally, decided, let's go to a community meeting and see what these folks are talking about. They came to a community meeting, they saw how egregious and wrong this was, and they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna help, we're gonna take this. And so in them deciding to take the case, because Legal Aid Chicago in particular, they do work pro bono all the time. That is their mission. But of course, you do need money to fund all of this. They were able to partner with one of their partner organizations, Eimer Stahl, which is a big law firm, to cover all of the fees. So it was really a blessing that we were able to get 3 powerhouses to work with us. But it was a testament to just how egregious and wrong this case was. That they were like, no, you have something here. This is worth fighting for, and we're going to join you in this fight, and you don't have to pay.
Great. Okay, sir.
Yes, yes. That's a great question. So Brandon Johnson will be sworn in May. I personally fully expect everybody to turn over, right? To just go. That's what every mayor does. Maybe I should say this, our school board is mayorally controlled. So the mayor appoints everybody. And so with every mayor has been a new set of folks, right, who are simply there to do the mayor's bidding. And that is why this whole thing happened against NTA, is because, and you heard John Jacoby, right? I had political connections. He basically called up Rahm. Rahm called up the school board and was like, get these kids out of here. We're going to turn this into a high school. So that is how that was able to work. Now, we've been pushing simultaneously for a very long time for an elected school board. It's ridiculous that Chicago does not have an elected school board. We finally passed the bill, and it's going to be rolling, and the first set of elections is going to happen in 2024. So Brandon Johnson will be able to come in, appoint some folks, and then we'll be able to elect some folks in 24, and then I think it will be fully elected by 26, something like that. So it will be rolling. So it's going to be very, I imagine, tumultuous, but I think the tumult is good because the old way of doing things was far too top down, to like, you're going to do what I want you to do. I'd rather we just duke it out in the room, between elected folks and appointed folks until we can finally get it fully appointed. And then if we don't, fully elected. And then if we don't like what they're doing, we at least finally have the opportunity to change it.
Cleveland is under mayoral control as well.
Is it really?
Yes.
It's awful. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yep, me too.
Really?
Yes. With Obama. That's how I was thinking.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that's unbelievable how he is able to fabricate a... the Laquan McDonald, we had 16 shots in a cover-up. That was the mantra when Laquan McDonald was killed by a police officer, Van Dyke, and it was covered up for over a year by Rahm so that he could be reelected.
Yeah.
He was assassinated in the street, and yeah, right. So we have been, and the picture of Rahm when Jacoby says Rahm brought in all new people, and there's a picture of him with a black woman, Rahm with a black woman. That's Barbara Byrd Bennett, who was one of our. Some people are nodding their heads, so
well,
you know where she is.
She was in Cleveland.
She was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So you know
and
where
she lives there now.
Oh, is she out?
Yeah, she just got released.
She just got released from prison for stealing money from the school system. So, you doesn't quite pick the best people.
Okay. Okay, we got a hand here, and then Harmony. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to come up here?
Yeah, come on, because I have a question for both of them anyway.
No, come on up here.
Harmony is 13, and she was in 2nd grade from the movie. And Noah is almost 10. And how old was Noah?
He was in kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yes.
And Noah is still at NTA. 5th grader, right, Noah? Or getting ready to be one. A rising 5th grader.
So I was really happy for her because when I was in 2nd grade, I didn't really understand what was happening because I was so young. I just thought it was like, yay, no school, because I just didn't understand like why the school was like closing and stuff. I just was, and now that I'm understanding now as being more mature, like I feel very happy that my mother saved the school because I wouldn't be where I am now without it. It taught me so many lessons, and now I'm at Kenwood, and it's a very, very big opportunity and deal. So I'm very happy that NTA brought me where I am now and that my mom saved the school.
So Harmony, while you have the mic, share one of your favorite times or things that when you were at NTA.
I have a lot.
You had that many, huh?
I don't know. What about your favorite friends or favorite teachers?
One of my favorite teachers was my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Khalil. She was like,
yeah.
She was in that scene.
She was in that scene.
Yeah.
And she was one of my favorite teachers because she would have like this fake money, and she would give it to us when we were good and stuff, and we would be able to buy erasable pens, candy, and we would be allowed to eat them during class. It was really nice. And she was such a great teacher. I had her for 2 years. I had her for 4th grade and 2nd grade. So, yeah, she was amazing.
Very good. Okay, Noah, how about you? What was one of your favorite times well, you're currently there. So what was one of the greatest things that happened to you this last year or this year?
My favorite school times was probably this grade right now, 4th grade, with my teacher, Miss A. She is really nice, and we get to trade in tickets for if we have a best day. We can pick candy, mechanical pencils, and other stuff. And it's really fun. And I have lots of tickets, so I might just do that.
Very good, Noah. Thank you so much. Did we have any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'm not gonna belabor it. I got one last question for you. So what message would you leave for parents, school board members, teachers, superintendents, administrators, community about advocacy for a cause?
Yes, that's an excellent question. I would say that winning is possible. One of the biggest hurdles that we experienced as parents was trying to convince other parents and people in the community who saw this as being wrong that it was possible to win, particularly when you are going up against a system, right? And it's not even just one particular person, it's an entire system that you're fighting against. And when you're dealing with marginalized communities, you're dealing with people who have, for the majority of their lives, struggled against a system that has had its boot on their neck constantly. And we found as new parents, because when we started fighting, Harmony, was, so Kevin started filming about a year into the fight. So we had been in it much longer than you see in the movie. And so I was a fairly new parent to the school and had no idea about the history that Amy Rome was talking about. And so as I was starting to fight and trying to get people motivated, I learned from grandparents that the system had been after their school for decades, ever since it was built in 2002. So they were just like, and the system had moved them out of South Loop on purpose. I mean, you hear John Jacoby talking about that, we established proper rules and decorum and all of that. They physically redrew when they built NTA, they physically redrew the boundary so they could cross out the low-income housing from South Loop Elementary and district them into NTA. So you emptied out the building of South Loop of low-income children just like that overnight. And it was in the middle of the school year, and the grandparents told us that one day they woke up and there was a flyer slipped underneath their door that said they had cut the bus service and their school was no longer South Loop Elementary and now they were to go to NTA. And there wasn't anything they could do about it. So they were telling us these stories like, yeah, this has happened before. This is what they do. There's nothing we can do. So we had to first convince our own people that it was worth fighting. And then once we got our people together, our army, I like to call them, then we were able to coalesce and then fight the larger system. So my message to people who are invested in fighting against a system that is doing incredibly wrong things to them is that winning is possible, and you just can never give up, even though it seems like you may not win, and even though you may not win, right? It's still worth the fight, because maybe you don't win this time, but then it's going to happen again, right? And so, but now the next time you will have the tools, or the next time you will have the knowledge, the next time you'll be one step ahead of the game, and you will understand how to fight better. So the fight is always worth it, and never give up.
And I just want to say one more thing, so I think the people will want to hear this. I've heard this about Kevin in the filming. So Kevin didn't film everyone because some people were not open to him.
That's right.
So what did he do? How did he get the people to talk?
So, and this was a debate that Kevin had with his crew when it came to interviewing John Jacoby and Tina Feldstein. They went back and forth who should go and interview them. Kevin is a 6'4" black man. And they finally decided, let's send 2 white women to interview Tina and John. And it was because of that we got so much truth out of the 2 of them. And journalistically, it was like some people were arguing to Kevin, like, you're a journalist, you should be impartial, they should be able to talk to you. And he was like, yeah, but this is about race. This is Chicago. I am a 6'4" black man. Like, they are just not going to say the things that they said. They were brutally honest. And what's even to me is that they honestly don't think that what they're saying is wrong.
Right.
Like, they really do think that they are in the right and that they are not saying anything offensive whatsoever.
Yes.
And they never would have been that honest if Kevin had been in the room. And so I really applaud them. It was so clever of them. And the one of the white women was Rachel. She was one of the producers on the show, and she's a good friend of mine. And she was like, I tried so hard just to keep my face neutral. She was like, but she said, sometimes I just had to turn away. I didn't want them to see that I was just like dying inside of what they were saying. But she said, but I also knew what they were saying was really, really good for the film. So
yeah, I think that was very authentic.
It was incredibly authentic, yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've never talked.
Okay, let's give the family another round of applause. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Harmony, Noah.
Thank you.
Dr. Greer, we're so excited that you were here with us.
This was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. President Maciel, did you have some parting words that you'd like to say? Yep. Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. And this was also live streamed. So. Yeah. So it may not be large in here, but it's larger out there. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Okay. Oh, you're welcome.